What's good, YouTube? Keith Moore Jr. here. So for today's video, we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to show you all what an actual boxing training session is like for me. So I always start off the workouts with warming up with BOXER ball exercises. This is good for stabilization, getting those glutes activated, firing up those quads, and also getting those hips ready to perform. I have very tight hips because I did have a hip surgery back in 7th grade, and as a result, I was not told things that I should know for later in life as far as making sure my hips don't become too tight. So that's something that I have to continue to work on because I do have knee pain on the side where I had my surgery, but I've been going to physical therapy for that, so now just going to continue to build up that flexibility and mobility in the hips. Next up here, we are doing a lunge on the BOXER ball. A great stabilization exercise here. You will really feel this in those quads and those hips as well. So all of my training sessions for boxing start off like this. We work on warming up, getting those muscles fired up, so that way when it's time to actually get the workout started, everything is nice and fired up, and we are not going to injure ourselves, hopefully, because we are nice and loose. Now I'm doing an actual lunge with it instead of just a stability hold, and we're going to do that on each leg here. Now with this, you want to be sure you keep that core tight, keep that back straight, and drop that knee down as far as you can go. And I promise you, this is a lot tougher than it looks. When I first started doing the BOXER ball, I was shaking on it and barely able to, stabilize myself. Now we're transitioning here to squat jumps. You want to be sure that foot stays on top of the BOXER ball on those jumps. And you want to do nice, quick jumps. Don't worry about trying to jump as high as you can. This is just a warm up here, so we're not trying to do super explosive movements right now. Just getting everything fired up. And we do that on both sides. All right, next up here, we are doing a squat with the Swiss ball. So we're doing 5 mid squats and then going into 5 deep squats. And we're performing 2 sets of this. So that'll be 20 squats total, which would equal 10 mid squats and 10 deep squats. And this is going to help take those knees out of the movement and still help get those glutes and those quads fired up. All right, now we are stretching out the neck, making sure we are good there, going all the way around, and then we're reversing it. Be sure that you are stretching, doing dynamic stretching before your workout. Now we're rolling those shoulders back, getting those shoulders loose. Because if you all don't know, boxing does involve a lot of shoulder movement. All right, now we are doing arm circles. We're gonna do these forward and backwards. So right now, my arm circles are too big, so I had to shorten it up, make it shorter and quicker. And this is just helping to get those shoulders fired up even more before we get started. So you can do this, you can actually time this and do it. You can either do 20 of these forward and back, or you can do 30 seconds. It's up to you. All right, so now we're making sure we open everything up. Be sure to bring those arms all the way back. Open that chest up. Now we're gonna do it to the front as well. All right, now we're gonna start with our hands in close here and bring them out. that chest is completely open. All those years of weightlifting, I got a lot of things to fix on the mobility side, but it's all good, we gonna get there. Alright, now here, we're working on those twists, and as you all can see, I'm turning my foot on each one, simulating as if I was gonna be throwing a lead or rear hook. Now here, just stretch it side to side. Be sure to turn that waist, turn those hips, get the full stretch all the way down. Alright, now we're gonna do some side bends where we are really gonna stretch out those obliques. Go straight down to the side, hand behind the head, and you're gonna hold it. Reach down to that knee if you can. If not, work on that from a mobility and flexibility standpoint. That's something I'm working on as well. So one of these days, what I'll do for you all is actually record a mobility routine. I'll start putting those up on the channel as well. All right, now for our final stretch here, we're going to spread those legs out, reach down in between them, and come straight up. Keep it controlled. There we go. Open everything up. Down, straight up. I want you all to do about 10 to 15 of these. And then once this is complete, we are ready to get started with training. Alright, so typically training will last about an hour. Sometimes it may go a little over. So we stepped in the ring to start things off, and we are working on just moving around the ring here. And then my coach is telling me, you know, when to switch and when not to switch. And whenever I come to the noodle, gotta roll under. So something that I have been working on is making sure I'm getting low enough on that roll, as well as I have a tendency, and my coach will correct me on this later in the video. He's doing it right now actually. When I roll, I have a tendency to drop my guard, drop my hands, which is very dangerous when you are in there with someone, because if you roll, you can definitely get caught with your hands being down, and that's what we don't want. So I'm doing a better job at keeping them up here, and now I'm coming in and stepping back out. So I'm working on some footwork here, stepping to the side, stepping to the front, stepping to the back. So we're working on not just forward and backward movement, but lateral movement as well. And then my coach here is, you know, making sure I keep those elbows tucked in. That's another bad habit I have of, you know, flaring my elbows out, but that's something that we are working on. That's why it is very important to get you a good coach. Someone that knows what they're talking about, knows how to coach you, and is going to really help you improve your technique. So now we're working on some pivots, throwing pivots in there with that forward, backward, and lateral movement. Pivots are very important in boxing as well. See right here, yep, coach is telling me again, keep those elbows locked in and stay ticky. That's something my coach always tells me. Stay ticky means keep that head moving, keep it on the swivel. Do not get comfortable in there. Alright, now here we are working on our quarter turns. So not doing a complete pivot like I was doing in the clip before this. Coach has me working on quarter turns and throwing a jab with it. Now we're throwing a double jab, which is going to prevent the opponent from catching me with that right hand as I'm making the quarter turn. So that's what my coach is showing me now. Like, don't just jab once and then try to step off, because you leave yourself susceptible to that right hand. And then of course, my movements are going to be based on what my opponent is doing. But the beautiful thing about, you know, the sweet science of boxing is so much to learn, and each session I'm learning more and more. So right here we're working on some footwork. So my coach is emulating an opponent coming in, and then, you know, showing me how I should be moving and how I should be getting away out of that line of fire, especially if that right hand is coming. As you see there, my coach did a slip, then a pivot, did a step with it as well. He's obviously, a lot smoother than I am with it, but we're gonna get there eventually. All right, now here we are going to throw in an actual combination with those turns. We're throwing a jab, jab, cross, or also known as the 1-1-2 if you prefer to, listen to numbers. And now what my coach is showing me, he wants me to be able to step back with that, which you all will see in the next clip. All right, now here, I'm working on that step back after throwing the jab, jab, cross. So we're doing different looks here. So we're either gonna step back or we're gonna pivot. The step back, that's so I can get out of that line of fire, but also don't want to get stuck doing the same thing over and over and allow the opponent to time what I'm doing. So right here, my coach is telling me, take 2 steps back rather than just doing 1, just to switch things up. So we work on these drills and then we piece them together when we're actually getting in our shadow boxing or hitting the pads. So that's what we're seeing here. Coach is telling me, work on everything we worked on. We did 2 steps back and then we circled the ring. Now we engage the opponent when we're ready. Yep, walk them down. 2 steps back, circle the ring. So when I take those 2 steps back and I begin to circle the ring, I have a tendency to stop and then circle the ring. And what my coach is telling me here, it needs to be smooth. It needs to be one motion. So as I'm coming back, I need to begin circling the ring rather than having that pause in there. So it's a lot of things that go into boxing and the basics and the technique that a lot of people don't necessarily see or know. So if they don't know it, how can they teach it? So now it's a lot smoother, as you all can see. Jab, jab, cross, 2 back, and I'm circling the ring. No pause in between now. So that's the sign of a good coach in action right here. All right, now we piece everything together. We mix in what we want to mix in. Be sure to walk in after we do our walk around. That was a 1-2-1-2. Circle the ring, engage the opponent, jab. So now is where we're piecing everything together. So yes, we're getting lessons on what to do and how to throw our punches, how to move our feet, but we still have to piece it together, which is what I'm doing here. You all see me doing a pullback as well. That was a 1-2-3. So it's just everything we're learning going into a round of shadow boxing. Next up, we worked on defense. So I'm working on slips here and rolls. And when we're doing this, you have to be sure you are looking at your opponent's shoulders so you can know which way to go, as you all can see there. I will mess up a couple of times in here, but that's part of training. Things are not going to be perfect, especially when you're just starting out with boxing. So you all will see a couple of slips. I may dip too low, and my coach is going to tell me to minimize that. Or I may slip the wrong way trying to anticipate what my coach is going to throw rather than watch his shoulder. So that's something that I am getting much better at, but it's still work that needs to be done. Now we're rolling and got to keep those elbows in at all times. And then my coach here is telling me make sure I bring that back foot with me as I close in on the opponent and get on the inside. Bring that back foot, don't drag it, bring it with the front foot. Now we're blocking to the body, blocking up top. Now we're stepping back and blocking. So defense is extremely important in boxing. It's not just about going in there and trying to knock somebody out. Defense is crucial because your defense is going to be able to create offense for you. So here we're just working with the noodles, working on defense. All right, here we're still going to be working on defense, but now we're working on that pull. So we're throwing in those slips and then pulling the punch. And then on those pulls, you can really do some damage if you come back and counter the opponent. Now we're also slipping and doing some step throughs. That was a slip roll, step through. So working on different looks of defense based on what the opponent's going to do. So if opponent is stepping forward, then you know I need to be able to step through. And now here, my coach is telling me to, you know, use my shoulder. Come in when that opponent throws that jab, dig that shoulder into that stomach. Yep, just like that. As you all can see, I'm showing you all some footage here of me not getting it the first time, but my coach correcting me and then me getting it right. So it's not just about, okay, we're gonna go in here and everything's gonna be right the first time. I'm really showing you all what it looks like to have a good coach that knows what they're talking about. So my goal is for me to track my entire journey as I train for my first amateur fight, so you all can see the progress and the entire process, so you all can know what goes into it, the type of hard work and commitment that is required. So now we're just going to continue to work on defense here with the noodles. So this whole segment here was dedicated to defense. Alright, now at the end of the workout here, getting in some shadow boxing, working on everything we've learned, not just today, but over, you know, the course of us working together. So work that jab uppercut there, and then get out of there. Jab cross, step back. So you all saw me do the pull right there. I did the jab cross pull and came right back. Working on those hooks. So now is where we, you know, piece everything together, and then if something is not looking crisp, then you see me looking at my coach there. He tells me what to correct, and then we get right back to it. So working on not just speed, but working on accuracy, fluidity, and piecing everything together. So this is what a session of boxing training looks like for me as I train, not only to improve my technique, but to get ready for an amateur fight. So please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know if you have any questions down in the comments below. I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.